What's up, y'all? Today we're going to talk about how to turn your classic GenG version 1.0 with the sushi mod and all that stuff into a better sounding version. So there are a few steps to this. As you can tell, I've already taken this out of the headband. That's step one. Step two, we're just basically going to take everything out. So you're going to take your pads off. If you use your index finger and your thumb, pinch from the bottom, you just kind of pull it right off. Same thing with this piece of foam. Don't lose the foam. Yep, and then you can take the grill off the back, take the cotton out, just take everything off, and then finally we're going to remove this sushi mod as well. So the best way to do that, once again, use your thumb and your index finger, kind of just grab a corner of the wall, and you can almost just force it out. Easy. Alright, so we got a naked driver. Second step, you're going to take these felt patches, and they're going to go right on the back of the magnet where the sushi mod used to be. So they're adhesive on one side. Just peel it off, kind of line it up to be as centered as you can. And there you go. And then kind of push from the perimeter of it. There you go, it's in there. Step three, putting cotton back in here. I'm using a couple of fresh rolls because the other one's frayed a little bit. These are the longer size, which I prefer with these modifications. So they're a little bit stiff, and now that you took the sushi mod out, the felt isn't going to quite hold it in place as well, so you kind of have to contour the cotton before you put it in. So the way you do that, you can kind of fold it in half like this, kind of bend it all the way along the way, and then also give it a good squeeze, kind of compress it, just work on it a little bit until it kind of holds a bent shape. And then you're going to put it in. So we're going to pretend this is a left channel. So the appropriate placement for the cotton is for it to be all the way down on the right side for the left channel, so that when you put it on your head like this, that cotton is facing the back of your head. And then we're going to do the same thing for the other one here. Give it a good bend, good smush, bend again, and then now it'll be one hole open at the bottom on the left side. And when you're doing this, if you want to be sure that it really sticks in there, it doesn't fall out, you can use some fingers on the front of the driver like this as you're compressing it down, just so the driver doesn't pop out. And then once you kind of flatten it in there, then there you go. You've added your damping materials. It's not going anywhere. Great. On to the next step. Okay, next thing we're going to do, we're going to work on the front of the headphone. Anybody who's already taken the pads off knows about this little piece of foam. These are cut by hand, so as you can see, one side of it has a slightly more rugged texture that kind of coincides with how I cut them with scissors, and the other side is perfectly flat. You want the more rugged side facing up, so that you get a more perfect seal around the front face of the driver. And you want to line up the broken seam so that it's at the bottom of the cable connector, kind of where this piece of plastic is. So kind of smush it all down until it's nice and even, make sure there are no cracks. Last thing to do is put on the new ear pads. Here's the old ear pad, here's the new ear pad. As you can see, it's got a much wider ear hole. The first thing to do with these, sometimes the foam can kind of settle and the leather's a little bit tight when you get them, so you're going to want to give them a good stretch. So you can use kind of 3 fingers on either side, give it a good pull. Not too strong, you don't want to like tear this little seam down here, just enough to get a good stretch. And do it horizontally. It's good to do it a couple times. Nice and wide. And then what you're going to do, unlike the other pads, which sat with the fatter side on the bottom, like this. These pads will sound a little bit better if you put the fatter side on top. Yeah. So, what I suggest is lining up that top seam first, kind of hooking the overlay like that, and then keeping your thumb down on that seam as you work your way around. And while you're doing this, you can kind of peek underneath and make sure the foam is not coming up, and if it is, just kind of give it a little smush. Hook it around, And there you go. You're all done. You now have a newly tuned, improved, and ready to listen GenG 1.1.